For the crosswind landing, we'll use 10 degrees of flaps on downwind and base legs, and use only 20 degrees of flaps on final. The 172 POH recommends using the minimum flaps necessary for the field length in a strong crosswind landing. As always, any configuration or power change will require trimming to relieve control pressures.
On final approach, the crosswind will drift the airplane toward the downwind side. There are two ways to correct for this drift. One method is to use a side slip, and the other is to use a crab. It's easier to stay aligned with the runway using the crab, but this method requires a lot of judgment, skill, and timing to remove the crab and land without side loads on the landing gear. While the side slip presents a little more challenge, there is less chance of landing with a side load on the gear. We will use the side slip for this landing. After the airplane is on final approach, the upwind wing is lowered and opposite rudder is used to keep the longitudinal axis of the airplane aligned with the runway. The side slip is correct when the airplane stays on the extended center line of the runway and pointed straight down the runway. If the airplane is drifting toward the upwind side of the runway, the side slip must be decreased. If the airplane is drifting with the wind, increase the side slip. After lowering the wing, if you don't have enough rudder to keep the airplane lined up with the runway, the crosswind is much too strong. Either choose a runway more into the wind at the airport, or go to another airport where you can land into the wind. Both wind direction and speed will change as the airplane descends, and you'll have to adjust the side slip accordingly. Typically, the crosswind effect diminishes as you get closer to the runway, and the side slip needed decreases. But do whatever is necessary to keep the airplane from drifting across the runway. Each side slip change will require changing control pressures. Drift is controlled with aileron, and heading with rudder. If the airplane isn't drifting, but is not headed straight down the runway, both rudder and aileron pressures must be changed. First, either increase or decrease rudder pressure to make the airplane head straight down the runway. Then, use aileron as necessary to keep it from drifting. If the airplane is drifting when it's headed straight down the runway, change the slip, using both aileron and rudder to stop the drifting and to keep the airplane heading down the runway. The slip is used until touchdown, and the landing is made as any other landing. During the landing flare, as speed is decreased, the controls lose effectiveness, and control pressures must be increased to maintain the slip. Touchdown will be made on the upwind main gear. When you've learned to control drift with a side slip, a combination of the crab and side slip may be used. Crab the airplane on final approach to stay on the extended center line of the runway. You'll then change the crab to a side slip before touchdown.